And welcome back to the Angry Teacher channel. I'm Richard Williams, the Angry Teacher, and if it's your first time here, thanks for coming by. I talk about everything education as much as I can, and I want you to be the best teacher that you can. I've been teaching for about 23 years, 24 years, 23 years, and I just want to share some stuff with you that I think helped me through the process and the years of in education. If you've been here before, thanks for coming by. Hey, what's up, guys? Glad you came back. Let's get into the video. Now, today we're going to be talking about modern teachers. I had a video before, check it out. It's somewhere around here. That was about being a modern teacher. Now, this one, it's a part 2. I don't know why it took me years literally to make part 2, but here it is. So I have about 7 steps that will help you be that modern teacher that can, whether you've been teaching for years or not, now you can step into the present or future and be a good modern instructor. All right, so let's get into it. Number 1, step outside of your comfort zone. There are many things in education that, especially if you've been in it for a while, you would like to stay the same. And some things I believe need to stay the same, because not everything new is good. Not everything bad is good either. No, I'm sorry. Not everything old is good either. But there's some things that we can still hold on to because they work, and that's why they keep working. And there's some new things that we need to pay attention to as older teachers, or even if we're new to the profession, then get out of your comfort zone. Because sometimes we might get into the profession, and because we think that because we're younger, we're newer to the profession, we bring so much more than we had before in education, that everyone who's been there before should listen to you. But you know what? Get out of your comfort zone. There's some old things that you can use, as well as the new stuff that you're bringing to the table. Okay, so just remember that. It's always good to get out of your comfort zone and kind of feel around to see what works for you and your classroom. Number 2, question everything. Do you have to verbalize it? No, but there's some things you need to think about. Why are we doing this? Or maybe my way wasn't the right way. Or maybe sometimes I need to do this differently. Every period is different. Every child is different. Every school is different. Every district is different. So some things you can question, whether it's internally or not, and you don't want to necessarily be that person in the building who's always pushing back against whatever comes up. But there's some things that you need to question. Don't just run along with everything just because it's a mandate, or because you don't know anything because you're new to the profession, or it's always been that way. Why the heck try to change it? Some things you can question, you can and even if you are wrong, at least you've posed a question, and that proves that you are a thinker. You are in the position to create thinkers, and that's what you are. All right. Number 3, don't wait until they're experts around to learn something. If you know that you're teaching something and there's no expert around, at this point in our career, you can go on to Google. You can ask the teacher next door. You can ask your department chair. You can ask someone in another district. Ask around. Now we have these cool things called, and I'm an old man, so Facebook groups, ask on Instagram, just throw questions out. You can social media a lot of things, so you don't have to wait until you go to a PD. There's some things you can figure out on your own, and when you go to those PDs, that there's always a PD, like always a PD. But for these PDs, you can go ahead and just that's when you can ask these questions after you've already been kind of informed on the topic. You've been given ideas on the topic. Now you can throw it out there to the experts and hear their say on what this information is. There are a lot of new teachers in my building who they've always wanted to ask something, but they never really knew how, and so they never really tried. They were waiting until their department head would say it, and then when I have a conversation with them later, they found out, oh, you know what, I wish somebody had told me this earlier, or I was waiting until, but she never did. I'm like, yeah, go ahead and ask. Other people might know. It doesn't have to be an expert or someone who's deemed an expert in the building. It could just be somebody who's teaching a different subject from you, and they have the answers for you right there. Number 4, to be a modern teacher, embrace change. I am not a fan of change, to be honest with you, but sometimes you have to suck it up and do what you got to do. For example, I'm an old school paper and pen guy. Now, my class is still old school. God forbid they give me laptops or something to use in my building. However, I use my Promethean board. I use other forms of technology. I have the kids use their phones every now and then. So I had to embrace that change. You know, I'm coming from a place where nobody had a phone, and if they did, they weren't allowed to use it. Now, in my state, they're still not allowed to use it. Anyway, embrace change. Sometimes it might help. Sometimes you'll realize in the long run it pays off. The kids might like it. You might not, but it works for the kids. So just know that sometimes change is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Number 5, model resiliency and perseverance. When your kids see that, yes, there's always something going on in the building and we can never get time to have fun as a class, and you've muddled through it and you've trudged through it and it pays off for the kids and for you, then they will become that person too. They're seeing you as a mentor. We haven't put a label on you. You're a mentor, you're a role model, you're this, you're that. But when they see that you've been going through stuff in your life and your family and whatever, and you still trudge through it, and you're there for them every day, and you're teaching and you're doing what you need to do, then they will realize I can do it too. So it's always a good thing to know that the kids are watching. They may not seem like it, they may not act like it. Lord knows if you ask a question, it doesn't look like they were in the room when you gave the instruction, but they're paying attention to what's happening. So go ahead and model how resilient you can be, how you need to be, and how you need to persevere in real life, because it's a skill that our kids don't have. Number 6, believe that there is always something to learn. I and some of the other older, more seasoned teachers, mature teachers in the building have always had concerns with a lot of the new teachers coming into the building because they believe they know enough already. In all of the teacher prep programs or in the beginning of the school year PDs that they're given or sent to, a lot of people tell them to avoid the teachers' lounges. I found that problematic, actually. Yes, there are going to be some negative Nellies in the room and some sad Sallys or people who always are whining and complaining. However, I believe new teachers, you are professionals, you've been hired as such, so you can determine what's important, what's needed, what's not. But there are nuggets there that you can learn from. If you're willing to learn, there's always a lesson somewhere. If the first block of the day you tried an assignment, it didn't work, it's not the end of the world. There's a second block coming. It might work with them. Or you might realize everything I've taught makes no sense to these kids. I have to break it down differently or do something different. There's always something to learn. You never know everything. I have been teaching for, like I said earlier, for 23/4 years. There is no way I know everything, even with all those years under my belt. So every PD I go to, every day, I'm learning something. I'm making, especially now with these kids and they're using terminology, I have no idea what they are. And do I need to know anything? No, but when they tell me stuff, I learn something. I try to learn to reach the different kids, different years. We've had 4 years of COVID. It's 4 years of a new type of child. 4 years of a new type of parent. 4 years of a new type of admin. So there's a lot of change in things that I need to learn. And as new teachers, as modern teachers, we need to be able to, and I hate to use the term, I apologize, to pivot and learn from new experiences and what we can use. Sometimes I sit through maybe a 90-minute, or sometimes, I wish it was only 90 minutes, like a whole day PD, and I've only gotten like 3 or 4 nuggets of information. But I always think there's something to learn, because that's what we do as teachers. Whatever I learn, I impart onto my children, and they learn from that as well. So new teachers, modern teachers, older teachers, remember, you can always grasp new concepts, new ideas, and use it, navigate, manipulate it for your purposes. Lastly, be reflective. That's always the thing. Modern teachers need to do it. Seasoned teachers need to do it. Modern teachers more so, because you're new to the profession, you're trying to do something new. But I need you to reflect on the lesson, reflect on your practice, reflect on the profession, reflect on the students you have in front of you, reflect on the future of education, reflect on the future of your classroom. These will give you insight into how you navigate what you do. This will give you insight into you. Am I doing this in a good way for me, in a good way for the students? Am I reaching them? Now, I might have graduated and I know everything I need to know about my concept, my ideas, my subject area. But how do I make it reach the kid who doesn't know how? When I go to these PDs, I'm going to learn as much as I can because it's something new, and I'm going to use it to reach little Johnny in the back. So reflection is important, and it helps us strengthen and move forward as a profession, as a group of people aiming to change the world. All right, so those are my 7 tips, part 2 of Modern Teachers. Go out and check out the first one, like I told you, and go out there and change the world, guys. Just go out there and teach. Love y'all.